Our theme this month is Growing Through the Cycle of Life, and today's topic is Replace. This is the fourth talk in this series, as you know. Most of you have been here through it all, beginning with acknowledge, then bless, followed by release, and now today's coup de grace is replace. Each week we've built on the material from the previous week in building our consciousness of respect, of trust, of courage and acceptance of our own individual worth and capabilities. One might even say that we're cultivating our energy fields as we're upping our consciousness. And today's topic, replace, can actually be addressed two ways. As a single word, of course, it's pronounced replace, which means to take the place of, or supersede, or even in some cases, ousting or dislodging what is no longer usable. And as two words, re and place, the word can mean to relocate. As in, after I dusted the vase, I replaced it on the shelf. It's still the same vase, and it's back where it started. So that's the crux of this talk. When you have something in your life that is no longer usable for your growth and your improvement, you replace it with something that is. And if you have something in your life that is of value to you, you replace it from the past into the present. Clever. The English language is so clever, isn't it? And the challenge is, how can you know which is which? In the past, some of you have heard me speak of the book, The Cultural Creatives, by Paul Ray and Sherry Anderson. The book was published in the year 2000, probably by intent and not by coincidence. And in the year 2019, which is swiftly moving toward 2020, the concept of a cultural creative population is growing and stronger than ever. When the book was first released, I was particularly drawn to the quote in it from Peter Drucker, who was and still is a well-known Austrian-born American management specialist and consultant, an educator and an author, whose writings contributed to the philosophical and practical foundations of the modern business corporation. He also was a leader in development of management education. After teaching at the university level on the East Coast for a number of years here in the United States, Drucker moved to California in 1971, where he developed one of the country's first executive MBA, Masters of Business Administration programs, for working professionals. And that was presented at the Claremont Graduate University. In the book, The Cultural Creatives, Drucker is quoted as follows: every few hundred years in Western history, there occurs a sharp transformation. Within a few short decades, society, in worldview, its basic values, its social and political structures, its arts, the key institutions, rearranges itself. And the people born then cannot even imagine a world in which their grandparents lived and into which their own parents were born. We are currently living through such a transformation. So what does this have to do with the spiritual practice of acknowledge, bless, release, and replace? Well, as I look around the room, it would appear that everyone here was born before the year 2000. It's a pretty safe assumption, isn't it? Consequently, everyone here, and most of those listening to this talk on YouTube, have stored in our subconscious some stuff that may no longer serve us in today's world. If we haven't already begun the process of acknowledging, blessing, releasing, and replacing old paradigms, it's undoubtedly time to consider that life is always moving upward, onward, forward, as Ernest Holmes has pointed out to us. It's happening in the microcosm, which would be you and me, and it's also happening in the macrocosm, the whole of a complete structure, as in the universe. So I'd like to venture to say that in the time you have been connected with the philosophy of the science of mind, your ideas, focus, and beliefs have had at least some overhauling, if not full replacement. And probably not because you would like to be addressed as a cultural creative, but because you have let go of some ideas or behaviors from the old paradigms, and you've embraced some new ones. In Ray and Anderson's book, Part 1, Part 1 is titled Introducing the Cultural Creative. It includes a checklist of behaviors and beliefs that identify the propensity, that is, the inclination or the tendency, to be of one to be a cultural creative. And of those 18 statements, and if you're so inclined, you can look at my book or you can order it. It's very available on the internet. But to look at that checklist and to see that of the 18 statements which you get to check off if you believe you fall into that category, two of them relate to spirituality and spiritual development. How about that? That's a pretty good percentage, considering this covers a very broad spectrum. Further on in the book, in fact, the propensity for spirituality rather than religion is developed as well. And in that first chapter, they write that as of the year 2000, at least 25% of all Americans have taken on a whole new worldview, pointing to major development in our civilization. But changing a worldview literally means changing what you think is true. Things like changes in values, things like fundamental life priorities, changes in lifestyle, the way you spend your time, and perhaps even changes in your livelihood. Jean Houston, one of the early cultural creatives, and one well known in metaphysical circles, is quoted as saying, "To be smart in the global village means thinking in terms of yourself as an interwoven piece of nature." For some of us, that means replacing our former beliefs with new ones. For others, it means replacing what we have already known to be true into our current thought processes. And that is from your past into your current. And then acting upon them. Some years ago, I came across the word blisscipline, which in the Urban Dictionary online is described as the combination of bliss and discipline, meaning being happy and joyful in the now moment, and discipline meaning, in this case, studying, directing, and practicing the desired outcome. Discipline. I believe it's a valuable asset to have in our spiritual toolbox. I believe that in practicing discipline, we develop a higher awareness of God. We develop that divine energy as something that really operates in, around, and through us, and all through life. And I believe that it's imperative to stay in faith, regardless of the conditions, the situations, the mundane thinking, and the mediocre ways of the world. So practicing discipline carries with it some guidelines. One of those guidelines is expunging, that is, erasing words from our vocabulary. Most of you have heard this before, and if you're taking classes, you hear it all the time. Erasing words from our vocabulary. Words like want, need, not, never, only, anxious, can't, evil, fear, hate, infernal, lousy. Ugh. I just don't even want to continue with this liturgy or this litany of negativity. I can't even say the word negativity anymore. Do you know there are so many negative words in our language that they are listed alphabetically online? Yuck. So expunging them, erasing them from your vocabulary, and replacing, and that's replace one word, replacing them with positive words that you have disciplined yourself to use, is realigning how you think, what you think, when you think, and your entire being aligns with that. Does that sound like homework? Because it is. It's homework. But the results are worth it, don't you think? Or do you think? So let me give you examples of some results that you can expect from this. One is a clearer recognition of your oneness with the attributes and qualities of God. We list those a lot, don't we? We talk about those a lot. And now we're talking about aligning with them. A consciousness of appreciation and thanksgiving for the prosperities in your life or on their way to you. The releasing of cynicism and the recognition of quality and equality. Reminding yourself that you see life the way you are. And you have the power to direct that in you and from you. Creating a larger area for self-expression and being willing to expand your perceptions. We heard that in one of the Standing in the Lights this morning. Expanding on the knowledge, the training, the experiencing, the licensing into a whole new concept in service. Remembering that you are the offspring of the infinite abundance of the universe. I think one of these days that's probably going to pop up as an affirmation some Sunday morning. I am the offspring of the infinite abundance of the universe. In the meantime, you can use it if you'd like. You can put it on the mirror in the bathroom. You can lay it on your dashboard in the car. You can put it on the inside of your glasses so every time you look out of them, you see it. But utilize that. And here's one more. Accepting the abundance that is already a part of your true nature and letting substance flow into this visibility and experience easily. Let me say that again. Accepting the abundance that is already a part of your true nature. Letting that substance flow into visibility and experience easily. And the list goes on, endlessly. I'll get it. Endlessly, when we let it. Some of these may be replacing for you what you have already been practicing. And others may be a new experience for you, which includes replacing something that is a part of the old paradigm and no longer usable for you. Either way, this is you, growing through the cycle of life. So before I close today, I'd like to acknowledge the coming Thanksgiving holiday, which is this Thursday. And I'd like to acknowledge it as a wonderful opportunity for us to acknowledge, bless, accept, and place or replace what is already in our lives. Here's a quote for you. I will praise God's name in song and glorify God with thanksgiving. Crafted thousands of years ago. Those beautiful words are from the book of Psalms. So here are some other things to remember as well. Whatever our method of celebration, we are always thankful for the bountiful feast, the visiting friends and relatives, the new photographs, of course, and lively conversation. We honor the hands that grew and prepared the food and appreciate the nourishment that it provides our bodies. And we also have many reasons to feel compassion for others, for precious lives that have been lost, for children the world over who are not yet warm, not yet fed, not yet educated. That our country, our sweet land and its people continue to be free, to be brave, and to be united. That our government and many others stand strong to guard and protect us. That God is the center of our being, the source of our lives, and that we stand proudly in service to that purpose. So let's gather today on Thanksgiving Day this year, and every day and every year, in love, giving thanks for those whose care has nurtured us, whose embrace has uplifted us, whose spirit has guided us. Let's gather today on Thanksgiving Day and every day with the determination to give thanks for those who serve the cause of peace and justice in the world. Let's gather on Thanksgiving Day and every day with the courage of faith, giving thanks for the possibilities God places before us. And let's gather on Thanksgiving Day and every day in trust, giving thanks to God for the ultimate freedom we possess, the freedom to choose life and to choose faith, the liberty to know and trust God. So may our nation and the peoples of the world be known for the strength of our spirit and the sweetness of our compassion. And so it is.
So it is.